Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Oprah Winfrey, and my take on her top 50 rules for success. Enjoy.
And everybody has a different talent. And the reason we're all so messed up is because you're looking at everybody else's talent. And wishing you had some of their talent. All the energy that you spend thinking about, wishing about, being jealous of, envious of anybody else is energy that you're not only putting out is going to come back to you negatively, but you're taking that away from you. All your energy should be forced on what do I have to offer? What do I have to give? How can I be used in service? Because Dr. King's message of not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great because greatness is determined by service. And there is not a job in here that you can do that you don't switch the paradigm to service and not make that job more fulfilling. I don't care what the job is. If you say, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I'm an artist, I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a janitor, I'm a clerk, if you say, if I look at this from how do I use this in service to something bigger than myself? It no longer becomes a job. It becomes an offering to the world. This is the beauty of my life. There's not a thing that happens to me that I don't look at it as a teaching, learning experience. And so whenever I'm going into any kind of crisis, I've said this many times before, I'm always looking for what is this here to teach me. And I would say reading is the strongest signal for success in the future that I've ever seen. It is the strongest. I got my first job in radio when I was 16 years old, because I've been broadcasting since I was 16 years old. But my first job I got because I was a great reader. When you are a great reader, you can articulate and speak and command the English language in ways that other people cannot. And people think you're a lot smarter than you are, lots of times, because you're a great reader. Have you ever met a person who was a great reader when they were young who was not successful? You never. It is the absolute best foundation ever in life. If I leave you with nothing else, just know this for sure. There is not one thing that has ever happened to you, not one experience, not one encounter, not one crisis, not one joyful thing that hasn't happened just to make you better and help you rise. Every single thing you're calling in, whether you know it or not, and when you figure out that you are calling it in, when you actually start meditating or praying or doing or having a spiritual practice, which is the number one thing you need if you want to be successful in the world. You need something that gives back and nourishes you. Regardless of what you call that. You need to fill your cup so that you can be so full, your cup runneth over and you have enough to give to other people. If you don't fill your cup, you end up dried up. You end up tired, exhausted, and don't have enough to give to other people. You end up resentful every time somebody asks you because your cup is empty and now they want some of yours. So your number one job is to fill your cup and make yourself whole. That's your job.
Also, if you want to have more self-confidence and self-belief, the science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action for the habit to stick. That's what I want for you. So I've designed a custom free program where I'm going to send you an unlisted video for the next 254 days to shift your confidence and belief forward. The link to join is in the description below.
Figure out where your power base is. Your number one job is to become more of yourself and to grow yourself into the best of yourself. Become so skilled, so vigilant, so flat out fantastic at what you do that your talent cannot be dismissed. I think in order to actually do the stuff, money is important. But I also think the thing that I hold the dearest, and the reason why the noise about running for president moved me so humbly and deeply, is because it means that you have somewhere in the work gained the people's trust.
Yes, you have.
And there is nothing more important to me than having the trust of the people and the audience. And I mean, I recognize that it is the audience who came every day and watched, from all over the world that actually, that helped me to be who I am. So I think the
renown, the standing.
The standing, the ability to be trusted and to say something, but also listen, don't play the billionaire thing small. Don't play the B small.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal because it allows you to it allows you to actually do the work. So instead of saying, gee, I would like to help so many people, or you should go out and help so many people, you can actually use that for yourself. And I am now at this stage of my career thinking about how to do that more poignantly and fruitfully. Yeah. I'm now looking for ways that I can do that to create a level of sustainability within our communities that will go long beyond, my lifetime. The first law is the third law of motion in physics, which says, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And we showed that very beautifully in The Color Purple, when Miss Seeley says to Mr., everything you even try to do to me is already done to you. That is not just a rhetorical saying, that is law. That is Newton's third law of motion in physics, which says everything that goes out is coming back. It's just like everything that goes up is coming down, may take it a long time to come down, is coming down. Everything that goes out is coming back, it's coming back. So, to answer the power of manifestation and meditation, what meditation does is sync you up with the source. What meditation does is allows you to literally tap into the power that created you, so that you are in alignment with that. And so when you carry that out into the world, everything that you do comes from the center of that alignment that's coming from the source that we call God, we call divine energy, divine intelligence, whatever name you want to give it to, we call life. When you are synced up with life, life just gives to you. So when I first started making money, I was one of those people who thought, every time somebody asks me, yeah. So
you go crazy.
You go crazy. You have to look within yourself. What do you want to do? That means family members, because you get a lot of cousins.
Cousins you didn't know you had.
Wait a minute. When you get the Van Jones show, all of a sudden you get cousins calling you. So you decide for yourself. Yeah. And so I have, I've given away so much that people don't know, because most of the time you don't hear about the people that I've helped. So people complain about what I did or didn't do. Y'all don't know me.
Don't know.
You don't know me. I do. Yeah. I do, and God does. So I don't have any.
Let me get one more.
I have all of that very much in check. The reason why I was number one for 25 years is because I figured out early on there is no story anybody has ever heard that somebody else hasn't experienced. Nothing. And I also figured out, probably maybe the first or second year, that all pain is the same. That a mother in Somalia feels the same way as a mother in Seattle when she loses her child. And the common denominator in the human experience is our emotions and our feelings. And the more vulnerable and open you are willing to be with your story, the more actual understanding you create with other people, and the more powerful you become. People don't think less of you for sharing your story. They think more of you for having the courage to share it.
What would you say to your younger self?
Oh, honey. Oh, baby girl. What the world has in store for you. First of all, it would be relax. It would be stop being afraid. and it would be, everything's going to be all right. No matter what, you're going to be okay.
I did this movie called Their Eyes Are Watching God, and I was an extra, and it was a movie that Oprah was producing, and she had walked by, and I was making all the other extras laugh and stuff. I was telling jokes, and she's like, "You're a very funny young lady." I was like, yeah. And she was like, "What's your name?" I said, "My name is Tiffany Haddish, and I'm a stand-up comedian." And she said, "Well, keep me updated on your career. Write me. Let me know what you got going on. I love comedy." I said, "Oh yeah, I know." And so I would write her, right?
Right.
And I never got any reply.
Nothing.
And I think it's because it was a lot of misspellings or something. Because, you know, I wasn't a good reader at that time, so definitely not a good writer.
I see.
But I'm better now.
Well,
she never wrote back.
I wonder why. Let's ask her why she didn't write back. Oprah, why didn't you write back?
I didn't write back. So this is a deal.
I
love you. You are so good.
Thank you.
You are so, come on.
You told me that before in a dream.
No, it's true. It's true.
So it is my intention to fulfill the dream of the Creator. It is my intention to live to the highest calling and be pressed to the mark of the highest calling that I have come to do. And when you can ask the Creator, ask that which made you you, what is your dream for me? I guarantee you, instead of you trying to define the dream, what is your dream for me? If you're able to lean into the dream that the universe and all the forces of light and love and power and grace by all the names that we call God has for you, nobody can touch you. Nobody can touch you.
That show was on for 25 years in Chicago, and when you did it, you won, I think, almost 50 Emmy Awards, and it was voted one of the best TV shows in the history of TV. So you ended it, though, after 25 years to do other things, and we'll talk about that, but you no regrets about ending that show. No regrets whatsoever. You know, I didn't want to be punch drunk in the ring, still trying to come up with what is the next thing, because over the years, we became our own greatest competition. So when I first started, went national in 1986, every time there'd be another talk show, I'd be, Geraldo Rivera, what are we gonna do? And then I realized a couple of years in that you run your own race better than anybody. If you take the time to see what everybody else is doing, you lose your ground. And that I could be a better me than I could be anybody else. And so no need of trying to compare myself to other people. One of the things I tried to do all those years on the Oprah show, sometimes people would criticize me because they felt that I didn't do enough for race or racism. But this is what I always understood, that for me, my role and my goal in life is to open people's hearts. That's what I do, is I try to tell stories that allow people to see themselves in the lives of other people. And for me, it was always more powerful and effective to do a show, for example, on single parents raising their children, and just on the panel of parents, to have a Black father, and to show the photographs or images of that father putting his child to bed and reading a story at night. That, to me, is more powerful than doing a story on, let's talk about Black fathers who are raising their children. Because the goal, for me, is to show that we are all more alike than different, and that in our humanity, in our ability to express our humanness, we are the same. So when you see a father putting his child to bed at night and reading stories, and that man is Black, and you know that's what your husband does, and that's what you do, you feel a sense of connection and humanity.
Everything you try to do is already done. So when I figured that out, oh, what I'm putting out is what's coming back, let me get real clear about what it is I'm putting out. Real clear. So I read a book about 1989 called Seed of the Soul. And in that book, Gary Zukav talked about the laws of karma, of the laws of cause and effect, the third law of motion. And in that book, he talked about how your intention is always one with the law. Meaning, before you even think about a thing, you have an intention for the thing. And that the intention is going to determine the outcome. That's why the same people can go to the same church service and somebody walk down the aisle just to be seen to put some money in the church, and somebody else who just goes and just has a little bit to offer. The intention with which you give, the intention with which you serve determines the outcome. So when I figured that out, I went, whoa. I changed everything I did on my show. I called in the producers and I said, from this day forward, I will no longer be speaking to the KKK. I will no longer be speaking to people who are fighting each other in a way that it is damaging to the character of myself and other people who watch. From this day forward, I am only going to do intentional television.
When you're saying, I know who I am, and I'm telling you, it's the thread that runs through everything. It's the thing that allows you to stand in your own truth. And one of the things for years that Maya Angelou used to say to me is, baby, you need to know that you alone are enough. You alone are enough.
When I started the magazine, they said, you will not see a profit for at least the next 5 years, and we were profitable the first month, the second month, and have been since. And so I thought, oh, okay, those predictions, that is not really true. I had no idea how difficult it would be. However, I am really, there's an old spiritual that says, wouldn't take nothing from a journey now. I really was speaking to Stedman this morning. He was saying, it's a good thing that you went through that because you were living on the mountaintop for the past 25 years. You created this machine of the Oprah show that it just felt like walking into, okay, here we go. So no struggle, it had become easy for me to do. So to be in a position to build from scratch this network and to go through everybody thinking it was going to fail, and there were days when I had doubts myself, like, I had to force myself to actually practice what I have preached for years about going inside, staying with the vision, having every step move you in the direction of the vision and trusting that, building the right team.
One of the things I started to get around mid to late 90s is that everybody that I had on the show, at the end of the show, would say something to me like, was that okay? Was that okay? How was that? Was that okay? Right. At the end of the interview. And I started to then track it. It didn't matter if it was, I had gone and done a show where I was in a prison and I was interviewing a father who was in jail for life for murdering his twin daughters. And at the end of the interview, even behind bars, he said to me, is that okay? How'd I do? And Barack Obama said it when he sat in the chair the first time. And George Bush said it. Beyonce said it at the end of she taught me how to twerk and then said, is that okay?
Right. So that's an acquired skill, didn't I? Right?
Yes, a networking thing. But this is what I learned sitting in that chair for 25 years. That at the end of the day, whether you are interviewing me or I get to interview you, whatever your profession is, wherever you are in your life, in your relationships, every person that you encounter, every experience, the person wants to know, was that okay? Was that okay? And what I started to hear was that what people are really saying is, did you hear me? Did you hear me? And did what I say mean anything to you? And so I started to listen with that in mind, with that intention of validating that you're being here, you're speaking to me, you're taking the time to do this with me is important because you matter. And that's true for everybody who's watching or listening, that every argument that you ever have, every encounter, the person just wants to know, did you hear me? Did you see me? And did I say anything that mattered?
Every single day, I would have a pre-show meeting and have the producers come in and state to me, what is your intention? How do we want to use whoever is on this show, whatever is happening on this show, to serve the audience in a way that fulfills the mission of uplifting, enlightening, encouraging, as well as entertaining. And if it doesn't do that, then I can't do it. I can't put my name on it.
I figured this out early on in the show. I had read this quote from Dr. King, one of my favorite quotes from him, that says, not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. And I literally shifted, I used that quote to help me shift the way I saw the platform of television. Instead of like, oh, I'm on TV, how do I use that platform as a platform of service is what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, we know, and you did that pretty well too.
But when you think about growing and being empowered yourself, it is what you've been able to do for other people that leaves you the fullest.
Yes.
Most embarrassing. Oh my God. My most embarrassing moment was when I told this on The Tonight Show once, so if you've heard it, or you didn't hear it on The Tonight Show? You missed Jay that night. My most embarrassing night, when the World Soccer Cup thing came here, Dean? World Cup Soccer opened here in was that 94? 94! Because you guys were shooting it. Okay, World Cup Soccer. I am asked to introduce, I am the MC for the World Cup Soccer, okay? And I am coming out, and I'd rehearsed the day before, and I'd said to them, you guys have this plastic covering the stage that is the same color as the stage. So you guys really need to change that. They did not. So, the next day, I'm on stage and I'm introducing Diana Ross, who's coming across the other end of the field. Ladies and gentlemen, Diana Ross. And Diana starts, I'm coming out. And so she's coming across the field. I turned to walk off the stage and fell in a hole. The hole that was covered with the plastic, I went straight through the plastic. I went down in this big pit in the hole, fell, scarred up my legs, was bleeding, and couldn't get out, but I could still hear Diana singing. So I'm in the hole, the security guy's going, get her out, get her out, get her out of the hole, get her out of the hole. So 4 guys, they pick me up like this, spread eagle, and carry me out of the hole, I'm bleeding, I go to the other side, they bandage my legs, and I limp back up. And I say, that was Diana Ross!
There's a bigger dream waiting for you, just waiting for you to step into it. To step into it. Your life is big. Your life is huge. And we spend so much time wanting to be in somebody else's life. And you don't get honored, you don't get revered, you don't get celebrating wanting what somebody else has, because that which created you, divine intelligence that dreamed you from before your ancestors ever knew they would become your ancestors, that which dreamed the seed of you wants you to know how special, how wondrous, how mysterious, how complex, how glorious, how phenomenal you are. And you get no credit messing in somebody else's territory or trying to have power over something you have no control. Another one of my favorite teachings is The Wizard of Oz. When the Wicked Witch of the West says, go away from here because you don't have any power here, you have no power in any territory other than your own. Oh, but you are the master of that. You get to be the master of your own fate. You get to be the captain of your own soul. And if you just manage that, if you just took care of your territory, oh, the glorious, 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 wondrous opportunities and possibilities that are waiting for you. So the question is, what are you resisting? What are you pushing against? What are you not allowing? What are you blocking because you have this idea of who and what you're supposed to be instead of leaning into the dream that's already been created and waiting for you? It's waiting for you. And the second, it's an instant thing. It's a shift in the way you see yourself and the power from which you have come.
And this is the thing. I think I have to just say,
Please say.
Everybody is feeding yourself on the hysteria and the negativity. You gotta stay in the light. But one of the reasons why I was so excited is about A Wrinkle in Time, because the message is that the darkness is spreading so fast these days. You must become a warrior of the light. And the reason that's so meaningful to me is because that's how I've led my whole life. And every moment in that film, I just felt like, I'm just saying what I normally say.
It's true.
and for these times, the darkness is there to show you your light. Look at what has happened. So if you put the focus on, look at what happened with the darkness that showed up in Parkland, and the darkness that showed up on the streets of Ferguson, and the darkness that showed up in many homes in Chicago with shootings and senseless murders. It brings out the best in people. It brings out the best. And so that's what it's there. We live on a planet where there is darkness and light. I teach them that there is no life without cultivating a spiritual life, because you are first and foremost a spiritual being having a human experience. And if you lose sight of that, it's easy to get lost in the world, and no one can save a world that they're lost in when they've lost sight of their own North Star. So having a spiritual life actually means actively and ritually creating the space in your life all the time for gratitude, for kindness, for empathy, for inspiration, for joy, and for reverence for life in the home of your soul first. And then working to spread that inner joy outward. It means slowing down. It means taking in the moment. It means being exactly where you are, not distracted somewhere else. It means knowing who you are and getting about the business of fulfilling why you really came to our planet. I started feeling like, I think everybody knows, I've moved my whole life on instinct, you know? I feel like now it's time to let the show go. I feel like it's time to move on because I've grown as much as I can grow. When I've grown as much as I can grow in a space, that's my instinct to move.
I went through some tough times after I left the Oprah show. I made a conscious decision that I did not want to be sitting on TV with the Oprah show and y'all saying, she should have left that show. That show was really good 2 years ago. I made a conscious decision that when I felt I had said all that I could say and the audience had heard it, that I would move on and that I would not spend my life regretting or trying to hold on to what used to be or hold on to what I had. So I dreamed this dream of starting a network. And in the beginning, it was a struggle. It was a struggle because honest to goodness, I did not know what I was doing. I was trying to figure it out. I thought that the Oprah show audience would follow us to OWN, and then I realized y'all didn't have cable. And if you had cable, you did not have the OWN package. So it took me a minute. And unlike most people who you get to have your mistakes in private, some don't go right in your life, you get to sulk about it in private. If I make a mistake, it's on the CNN crawl or the CNN news. So when I was in the climb and there were so many wonderful owners, I see Churl Action Jackson here. There were so many wonderful owners, people who said, oh, we're gonna stand with you. We're gonna stand by you. Thank you, Roland Martin. There were so many people who said, listen, we believe that this can happen. So I dreamed the dream along with Tyler Perry, who was my friend, who came to me and said, Tyler said, I'm gonna help you out because Tyler can go home and write a script and direct it, produce it, and shoot it, and do it for less money than anybody in Hollywood. So we started with the foundation of have and have nots. If loving you is wrong, love thy neighbor, Mama Hattie. And then I started to dream another dream about scripted television, because in the beginning I was told you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it, didn't have enough money to do it. And I dreamed the dream. I read Proverbs 11:28 that says, those who trust in their riches will fall, but the righteous will rise and thrive like a green leaf.
It is your job to make yourself whole. Not perfect, but whole and full. Your real work in life, your real work, is to fill yourself till your cup runneth over, so that you're never grasping and needy, clamoring and insecure. But you can live your life assured in your worthiness and your right to be here and to become the best version of yourself as a woman being.
You came from very modest circumstances. You didn't come from a wealthy family.
Well, modest is not the word.
Well, I was trying to be polite.
I was actually poor. And a lot of the girls at my school, actually all the girls from my school are poor. And I was saying to them just recently, I was just in South Africa for a graduation, you all are come from the same circumstances. You are poor. And one of the girls raised her hand and said, I don't like using that word. I go, well, if you're not poor, then you should excuse yourself, because that's why I'm paying for you, because you're in my school. So if you're not poor, you don't like the choice of the word. So I don't have a problem with the word. I don't have any shame about it. I think, probably earlier in my life or career, the word would have bothered me. But I was poor. No running water, David, or electricity, living with an outhouse. Okay, that's poor. You can't get what you want by focusing on what you don't want. This is about the need to establish as many meaningful connections as we can. If we're going to save the world, we have to find a way to connect to each other, to connect to the nature that we're killing, to animals, to history, to an acknowledgement of the lingering trauma of racism and sexism. We need to connect to the people we love and mean something to us, and more than that, to the people who don't. That doesn't mean we always have to agree with another person's philosophy. It means if we're going to continue to survive and thrive on this planet, have to find ways to transcend the politics of division and embrace the places that bond us, where we find our human ground.
Everybody works hard, and everybody has their own dreams. There was a time where I used to spend a lot of energy wanting things. Of course, it's easy for me to say, oh, things don't define you, because I got a lot of things. Things are nice, I like them. But this is what I learned. When you can surrender to the dream, you get to live in the space of the higher power. You get to live in the space that you purposefully have come to earth to claim for yourself. So, around 1984, I was sitting in bed one morning, Sunday morning, should have been in church, but I wasn't. I was reading the New York Times review of The Color Purple. And I thought, whoa, this sounds like a really great book. I got out of bed in my pajamas, put on my galoshes, and went to the store to get the copy of The Color Purple. I read The Color Purple in one afternoon, went back to the bookstore, bought every book of The Color Purple. I took the books to the office, and I said to everybody, y'all got to read this book. Oh, my God, you got to read this book, Color Purple. I needed a book club. I didn't have one. So I passed out the book to everybody I knew. Please, read The Color Purple, read The Color Purple. Then I start to hear that somebody's going to do a movie about The Color Purple. But I don't know anybody in the movie business. By this time, I was on AM Chicago. I don't know anybody. I start praying to God. God, please help me find a way to get into Color Purple. I say, Jesus, I don't even have to have a speaking part. I will be, because I went to the movies and I saw on the movie credits, at the last credit, there's something called Best Boy. So I said, Jesus, if you just let me be best girl, that'd be all right by me. I can be best girl. I can carry the script. I can help the people with the water. I can do whatever. So I start praying for The Color Purple. As divine law would have it, Quincy Jones comes to Chicago, and he is in Chicago for 1/2 of a day because somebody has filed a suit against Michael Jackson claiming that Billie Jean was their lover and that's not his song. So Quincy had taken the red eye to Chicago. He was in his hotel room. He was coming out of the shower, and the television in his hotel room is on AM Chicago. There sits little chubby me with my Jerry curl on AM Chicago. Quincy Jones tells Reuben Cannon, the casting agent, I think I found Sophia. So I get a call from Reuben Cannon who says, I'm calling about a movie. It's called Moon Song. Would you be interested to come and audition? And I say, I have not been praying for Moon Song. No. I have not been praying for Moon Song. I've been praying for The Color Purple. He said, well, I think you should come and audition. So I go to audition. You know, movie people, they're making everything all secret. Steven Spielberg didn't want anybody to know he was doing Color Purple. So on the outside of the script, it says Moon Song. But I know all the words by heart. So when I open the script, I know this is The Color Purple, Jesus. This is The Color Purple. Yes. So I auditioned for The Color Purple. I can't even believe it. They don't just want me to be the water girl or the best girl. They are asking me, do I want a part in the movie? Oh, I'm thinking prayer. Prayer works. Prayer works. But listen to this. 3 months pass. 3 months is a long time. I auditioned in February, March, April, May comes. I haven't heard anything. So I call Reuben Cannon. I say, Mr. Cannon, I'm sorry, sir, I haven't heard anything. I expected to hear something by now. And Reuben Cannon, African-American man, says to me, you don't call me, I call you. And I didn't call you. Do you understand that I have real actresses who have auditioned for this part? Real actresses. And he tells me who just left his office. And I went, well, okay, I'm not getting that part. So I hang up the phone and I start crying. I can't believe that God has played this trick on me. I think this is a trick. So I decide that this is because the fat has finally caught up with me. The fat has finally caught up with me, and now I must get rid of the fat. In 2 weeks, I am going to go to a fat farm, and I'm going to lose 25 pounds. I'm gonna drink a lot of green juice. I'm gonna have some cleanses and colonics. So I also was trying to make peace with it. I said, God, I don't understand. I thought it was for me. You ever had that talk with God? I thought it was for me. I thought it was for me. God, you let me audition with somebody named Harpo. That's my name backwards. Jesus, that was a sign. Wasn't it a sign? And then 3 months pass, and then Reuben Cannon says, real actresses have just left his office. So I start to pray on the track. I'm out on the track at the fat farm, and I am running around at the track at the fat farm. It starts to rain. Y'all know how that is. But I don't even care, because I am praying to God to help me to let it go. Help me let it go, because now I've become obsessed with it and it's now controlling my life. I start praying, running around the track. And I keep hearing this noise, and I can't, there's nobody on the track but me, and I'm running around the track. And I look around, and it is my thighs rubbing together. It's my thighs. My thighs are rubbing together, causing this thunderous sound. There's nobody on the track. So then I really start to cry. Oh, Lord, help me. Help me let it go. Help me let it go. Help me let it go, God. Help me let it go. And you ever did this prayer where you say, okay, Lord, okay, I'm gonna let it go. Then you get up and you go, well, I think I still got a little bit of it. I did. Help me let it go, but I am not going to be able to see the other actress in my part. I won't be able to see it. Won't be able to see Color Purple. Just can't never see it the rest of my life. I won't be able to see it. So then I started, I don't know where it came from. I surrender all. I surrender all. All to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all. I sang and I cried. I sang and I cried and I prayed some more until I could reach the point where not only will I be able to go to the movie, but I can bless the other actress. I can bless her. I can say, I bless you. I bless you. I bless you with this. I surrender all. I surrender all. All to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all. And I tell you, in my greatest testimony, that the instant I laid that thing down, I'm telling you, when I laid it down and it didn't have me anymore, it had no control over me anymore, I didn't feel anything about it anymore. When I let it go, when I intentionally surrendered it to the power that was greater than I could ever know. The instant that happened, a woman comes running out of the cafeteria screaming, Winfrey? Is your name Winfrey? For 10 years, nobody could pronounce my name. I said, yes. She said, somebody's on the telephone for you. He said, name Spielberg. I get to the phone. He says, I hear you're at a fat farm. I said, no, sir. This is a health retreat. He says, I'd like to see you in my office in California tomorrow. This was in Wisconsin, I'd like to see you in my office. And if you lose a pound, you could lose this part. No problem do I have. I don't have no problem not losing a pound. So, honey, I packed my bags and I stopped at the Dairy Queen. I got 3 scoops just in case I'd lost half a pound. And the next day, I was in Steven Spielberg's office and he said, you're hired. You're hired.
Oprah, I'm dying to know what is in your purse.
I'm not quite sure myself. Okay, so somebody's gonna bring out my purse. This is Kelly Hurlman, who dresses me every day. So this is who did a real good job today, except I said to her, I think these boots are size 9, and I wear size 10.
But they look so cute, though.
But I look cute, but damn, my feet hurt. Okay, hold it. Hey, no, Kelly, just stand here. I don't know. This is the bag I was carrying this morning. It was right. Where'd you find this?
And
oh, boy.
Upstairs, in the closet, on the table.
On the table. Okay, this is what's in my purse right now. Okay, so there's my little makeup bag. Okay, it's cute, all in one bag. This was given to me by Nate Burkus. Then there's my wallet. There's my BlackBerry. This is a color purple. Y'all should go see that. I saw that the other night. Now, these are the sunglasses that Ellen. I carry a black pair and a brown pair because you never know what you're going to be wearing. This is contact lens cleaning fluid. This is charger for my BlackBerry. This is movie Freedom Land. This is this is great. This is a poem Maya Angelou just going to do at the White House. And okay, what is this? Oh, this is Maya Angelou's itinerary, so I know where she is. And that's about it. Okay, what I would like to know is, I got some pens down here, and then some glasses, reading glasses, and I got Sophie's balls, just whenever we're playing. She only likes the clear ones. And that's it. Okay, let's see how much money do I have in my wallet. Okay, got receipts. I keep those for you when I was shopping the other day. Then again, this is how much I got. Pull out all my money. Here we go. Yeah, I have a wallet. I have South African rand, and hold on. $2. It's bad. Wait a minute. Oh, no, there's more. There's more money. Okay, there's more. There's more money. There's 10, 11, 12, 13, $14!
It doesn't matter how far you might rise. At some point, you are bound to stumble. Because if you're constantly doing what we do, raising the bar, if you are constantly pushing yourself higher, higher, the law of averages, not to mention the myth of Icarus, predicts that you will at some point fall. And when you do, I want you to know this, remember this, there is no such thing as failure. Failure is just life trying to move us in another direction. Now, when you're down there in the hole, it looks like failure. So this past year, I had to spoon feed those words to myself. And when you're down in the hole, when that moment comes, it's really okay to feel bad for a little while. Give yourself time to mourn what you think you may have lost. But then, here's the key. Learn from every mistake, because every experience, encounter, and particularly your mistakes are there to teach you and force you into being more of who you are. The greatest lesson I've learned throughout my career came from Maya Angelou, actually, when I was, first meeting her. And after I'd known her for a while, she said, baby, you need to know that when people show you who they are, you believe them the first time. Oh, you know that lesson too now. First time. And your problem is it takes you 29 times to see the same lesson coming in a different skirt or wearing a different pair of pants. So I think that has been one of my greatest wisdom teachings, is to assess from people's behavior, their actions, not just towards me, but towards other people, who they are and how they behave, because if people talk about other people, they'll talk about you. So I think in business and in personal relationships, that's also been my greatest lesson. The challenge of life, I have found, is to build a resume that doesn't simply tell a story about what you want to be, but it's a story about who you want to be. It's a resume that doesn't just tell a story about what you want to accomplish, but why. A story that's not just a collection of titles and positions, but a story that's really about your purpose. Because when you inevitably stumble and find yourself stuck in a hole, that is the story that will get you out. What is your true calling? What is your dharma? What is your purpose? The way to make movies is to do stuff that you love, because, for 25 years I worked on the Oprah show, and Stedman will tell you that there were nights that I came home and I almost, it was hard to even take off my clothes because I knew I was going to be getting up 4 hours later. But I never really felt exhausted. I felt exhausted, but I never felt depleted. So do the work that comes straight from the soul of you, from your background, from stories that you've grown up with, from stories that bring you passion, from stories that you not just yearn to tell, but that if you don't tell them, they won't get told. And when you are operating, the single greatest wisdom I think I've ever received, other than when people show you who they are, is that the key to fulfillment, success, happiness, contentment in life is when you align your personality with what your soul actually came to do. I believe everybody has a soul and has, their own personal spiritual energy. So when you can use your personality to serve whatever that thing is, you can't help but be successful. So if you do films that come from the interior of your soul, you do work, you do art that comes from the interior of you, you cannot miss. It's only when you're doing stuff that you think might make money, you think it may be a hit, or you think it may bring you some level of attention or success. That isn't what does it. I would have to say that all of the great, wonderful experiences of my life that have brought me to this moment have come from working from the interior of myself. And so that's why it feels so authentic, because it actually is. So when you do that, you'll win. There comes a point, and I'm really good at this, is at not holding on to what was and being able to live in this present moment. You know, I never was one of those women who's afraid to tell your age or you're trying to be something you're not. I mean, I think for everything, there's a time and a season. The Bible is completely right about that. I think, and you know in your own self when it's time to move from that. My television career began unexpectedly. As you heard this morning, I was in the Miss Fire Prevention Contest. That was when I was 16 years old in Nashville, Tennessee, and you had the requirement of having to have red hair in order to win, up until the year that I entered. So they were doing the question and answer period, because I knew I wasn't going to win in the swimsuit competition. So during the question and answer period, the question came, "Why, young lady, what would you like to be when you grow up?" And by the time they got to me, all the good answers were gone. So I had seen Barbara Walters on the Today Show that morning, so I answered, "I would like to be a journalist. I would like to tell other people's stories in a way that makes a difference in their lives and the world." And as those words were coming out of my mouth, I went, "Whoa, this is pretty good. I would like to be a journalist. I want to make a difference." Well, I was on television by the time I was 19 years old. And in 1986, I launched my own television show with a relentless determination to succeed. At first, I was nervous about the competition, and then I became my own competition, raising the bar every year, pushing myself as hard as I knew. Sound familiar to anybody here? Eventually, we did make it to the top, and we stayed there for 25 years. The Oprah Winfrey Show was #1 in our time slot for 21 years, and I have to tell you, I became pretty comfortable with that level of success. We have to make the choice every single day to channel our own inner Jacindas, to exemplify the truth and the respect and the grace that we actually wish for the world. We need to tell it, as we're doing at this conference. We need to write it. We need to sing it. We need to proclaim it. We need to be it. We need to be the truth. We have to be the respect. We have to be the fierceness, the love that we want to see. And when we do that, mark my words, a change is already coming. I wake up in the morning.
What you do?
And the first thing I say is thank you. Yes. That's my first thing. Even before I'm awake, even before my eyes are really fully open, I say thank you. I can feel the gratitude, like, woo, I'm still here. I'm in a body. Thank you so much. I thank you for that.
Gratitude.
And then I go through the letting the dogs out, the whole, brushing your teeth and all that stuff. And then I have either silence or prayer or something that acknowledges that I'm still here. I do not reach for that phone first. That's your problem.
That's my problem.
That's your problem. You have no idea of the power of noticing another human being and what it feels like when somebody knows that they have been seen, truly seen by you. It is the greatest offering you can give. And all those years of the Oprah Show, the greatest lesson I learned was that, after every show, someone would say invariably in one way or another, how was that? I'd finish an interview with the father who killed his twin daughters. I'd finish an interview with a politician, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George Bush, Beyonce. They all say the same thing. How was that? And so I started to see that there's this common thread in our humanity where everybody wants to know, how was that? Did I do okay? Did you hear me? And did what I say mean something to you? So I would have to say that recognizing that in other people has helped me to become, a person of compassion, a person of understanding, a person who can interview anybody about anything, because I know that the core of you is the same as the core of me. You just want to be heard. Okay, let me ask all this. Have you ever made a complete fool of yourself over a celebrity? I
I've never shared this story with you, but today I feel I have to let it out. It was 1973 or 4. I was 19 or 20. I can't quite remember. But I was working in Nashville, and I had this obsession with Neil Diamond. Now, I would wake up in the morning playing Song Blue, everybody. And I would go to bed to Crackling Rosie, and which is not an easy thing to do in high school because I could have lost my Negro membership card. There were not a lot of Negroes singing Crackling Rosie, but okay, so I'm working in television at this television station, and there was some kind of benefit, and Neil Diamond was there because he was performing in town. And so I'm in the green room, and I am, by the time 1973, I'm already anchor woman on TV. And so I walk into the green room, and there he is. And so I say, Mr. Diamond, would you like some shrimp? And he says, yes, I'll take a shrimp. And he took a shrimp, and I'm like, okay. And then he moved across the room, and then I followed him across the room. That's a big mistake. That's the big mistake people make. So I followed him across the room. And so I'm like, would you like another shrimp? And he said, yeah, I'll take a shrimp. He did. And then I followed him again. So I'm just staring at him across the room. And finally I walked up and he goes, enough already. Enough already. Okay, so that was my Neil Diamond moment.
I know you all understand better than most that real progress requires an authentic way of being, honesty, and above all, empathy. I have to say that the single most important lesson I learned in 25 years talking every single day to people was that there's a common denominator in our human experience. Most of us, I tell you, we don't want to be divided. What we want, the common denominator that I found in every single interview, is we want to be validated. We want to be understood. I've done over 35,000 interviews in my career. And as soon as that camera shuts off, everyone always turns to me and inevitably in their own way asks this question: was that okay? I heard it from President Bush. I heard it from President Obama. I've heard it from heroes and from housewives. I've heard it from victims and perpetrators of crimes. I even heard it from Beyonce and all of her Beyonce-ness. She finishes performing, hands me the microphone and says, was that okay? Friends and family, yours, enemies, strangers, in every argument, in every encounter, every exchange, I will tell you, they all want to know one thing. Was that okay? Did you hear me? Do you see me? Did what I say mean anything to you? And even though this is the college where Facebook was born, my hope is that you will try to go out and have more face-to-face conversations with people you may disagree with. That you'll have the courage to look them in the eye and hear their point of view, and help make sure that the speed and distance and anonymity of our world doesn't cause us to lose our ability to stand in somebody else's shoes and recognize all that we share as a people. This is imperative for you as an individual and for our success as a nation.
What about something that you feel like you've personally achieved or overcome? Is there something that you are especially proud of yourself for?
Yeah, I'm especially proud of myself for not living in the world of comparisons. You know,
years ago when I pulled out that wagon of fat, I was actually comparing myself to everybody else, or what I thought you're supposed to look like, or what size you're supposed to be. So I've now reached the point where I'm really okay exactly where I am. And that's, it's taken me a lifetime practically to figure that out. And being okay exactly where you are.
Because comparing is a dangerous thing.
It's so hard because we are in the world of Insta comparison, And so the real spiritual practice is to live from within and not let the world define who you are, but you do that for yourself. That's the hardest work.
You are now the CEO of your company. You're the owner and the CEO, and you've got thousands of people working for you.
Yeah.
And as a CEO, do you have to say no to people all the time, and is that hard to do?
You get other people who say no.
No.
Okay. Saying no is hard. That is one of the big lessons, life lessons for me. I grew up, obviously, girl, raised in the South, woman, need to please, wanting to please everybody. So it took me a long time to get that lesson of only saying yes to what you intend to say yes to. And so I tried to do all of my business decisions and personal decisions based upon my intention. Many of you, as I have been, as I am, are where you are in your life based upon what you believe. And it's not just what you think you believe on the surface, it's also your shadow beliefs that are holding you back from moving into the life that you believe you deserve. What I know is if you're not looking at the shadows, if you're not looking at what is subconsciously running through the tape in your mind, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough, which is a tape that's playing for a lot of people. If you're not conscious of that, then you end up acting out of that belief system and not out of what you know to be the truest or want to be the truest for yourself. But you don't become what you want, because so much of wanting is about living in the space of what you don't have. That's why Jim Carrey's story is so powerful, because he started to act as though he already had it. He would go up to Mulholland Drive, he would drive away thinking, I already have those things, I just haven't accessed them as yet. I believe those things are going to come to me and I'm going to act like they are, so I'm going to move forward in my life in order to draw that to myself in such a way that my actions are in alignment with what I say I believe. So if you start to think about that, really, why are you where you are in your life? The choices that you have made have been because of what you believe to be true for yourself. The biggest transformation for me was living my life with intention. You know, what I know, I live by this law that's the third law of motion physics, what you put out is coming back. Yep. But before you even put it out, you have an intention. Mm-hmm. And so to have a clarity of intention about what you actually want to do and why you want to do it is the most important thing. And then to just set that vision and have every step you make move you in the direction of that vision. It doesn't mean that every day it's going to happen. Some days you're off track. Like, I intended to work out 45 minutes. I only got in 37 this morning.
Well, that's better than zero.
Yeah, it's better than zero. And that's what I said. Okay, at least you got some movement in, and I'll go back and I'll make up the other 8 later. But
I think you just made it up.
Actually, as I was walking, I think this is going to be 8 minutes. I'm going to make it up. So it's daily renewal. It's not one big, gigantic goal. It's every day coming back, giving yourself the opportunity to get it right. Because that's what every sunrise means. It's, oh gosh, it's another chance to get it right.
There has to be some way that this darkness can be banished with light. Says the man whose little boy was massacred on just an ordinary Friday in December. So whether you call it soul or spirit or higher self, intelligence, there is, I know this, there's a light inside each of you, all of us, that illuminates your very human beingness if you let it. And as a young girl from rural Mississippi, I learned long ago that being myself was much easier than pretending to be Barbara Walters. Although when I first started, because I had Barbara in my head, I would try to sit like Barbara, talk like Barbara, move like Barbara. And then one night I was on the news, reading the news, and I called Canada Canada. And That was the end of me being Barbara. I cracked myself up on TV, couldn't stop laughing, and my real personality came through. And I figured out, oh gee, I can be a much better Oprah than I could be a pretend Barbara.
I have a very big life. And so people with big lives can do big things. And so I started to think about what was the best Christmas I ever had in my life. I grew up poor, on welfare with my mother for part of my life. And I remember that the best Christmas of my life was when I was 12 years old, and my mother had said, we're not gonna have Christmas because we can't afford it. And my feeling at the time was, okay, well, so that ruins that Santa Claus bit. I was 12, so I realized there was no Santa Claus, because now he ain't coming because we're poor. And I remember feeling like it's gonna be really hard on Christmas morning to go outside. Everybody had, you go outside with your toys. What am I gonna do when everybody else is outside? That's what I thought. What am I gonna do when everybody else is outside? And what am I gonna do when I have to go back to class and say I got nothing? So that's what I was mostly worried about. And then some nuns showed up. Some 3 nuns came to our house, and they gave me a doll, and they bought us food, and we had our Christmas. That was the best Christmas of my life, because somebody remembered, and I wasn't going to have to be the kid that said I got nothing. So I wanted to be able to create that same feeling for children who had nothing. So I decided to go to South Africa. Originally, I wanted to do 1 million kids, because I thought, we can do 1 million kids. And then just realized I only had 4 weeks vacation. So in 4 weeks, I could not reach 1 million kids, because I didn't want to just write a check, send a donation. I wanted to be able to look in each kid's face and say to that child, somebody remembered you. And so that's what I did with my life this Christmas. I took 41 people from here, hired another 50 people over there, and we were a traveling caravan from one village to the next. We did 2,000 kids a day. We had parties for children who were orphans, and it was singularly, I will tell you, I could weep thinking about it, the best experience of my life. The singularly best experience of my life. The first day in Africa, where we had 280 kids in a room, and every single one of those kids had lost a parent. Every single one of those children, they were aged 3 to 17 in that room. And my team that you're talking about, I have the greatest team in the world. My team here in the United States had been in contact with the orphanages, so that by the time we got there, we had a present with every child's name on it. I had, this summer, every black doll manufacturer in the country had sent me dolls, because these girls had never seen black dolls. And so it was my mission to do for them what the nuns had done for me, was to let the African girls see a black doll. So I wanted every girl to have a black doll. I wanted every boy to have soccer balls. We bought radios, we bought clothes. And the most important thing is we had their names on every box for every child. And I called up the children one by one. And when those children, received their gifts and then waited for the next child to receive their gifts, and I said, nobody can open their presents until everybody can open their presents. And on the count of 3, when I counted to 3, and those children opened their presents, was the single greatest moment of my life. And I share that with you. Because that's what I can do. I have a big life, so I can take 50,000 presents and do that over and over and over again to orphanage. But what I felt in that room from those kids is a lot of what you're talking about, and what you're talking about, and what you see in the faces of those women. When you look into the eyes of someone and you give them a gift, whether that be a physical gift or it be a gift from your spiritual self, from your presence, from the essence of you, and you see the light, you see the joy. What I felt in that room was not just that I was remembered, that the child felt that I was remembered, but you felt a sense of hope, a sense of validation that somebody cared about me. And I will tell you that of all the years and shows that I have done,
and every theme for every show that I've done, the single common denominator that I've found that every human being is looking for is validation. Every single person needs to know, wants to feel that they matter, that they matter. And what happened in that room, that was the greatest day of my life, I knew that those children knew in that moment that they mattered, that they mattered. And so I encourage you, it's exciting to be able to write a check. It's even more exciting to be able to touch one life, to be able to do that for one person. It's like Cynthia was saying, when you can do that for one person, when you can do that, you will know that your life has meaning. And I will tell you, when I left that place, my friend Gail and I were there, and we were all boo-hooing. We're like, boo-hooing with the children. Oh, my God. And Gail was saying, what is it? What is it? We're so full. And Gail said to me, she said, you know, as big as your show is, what happened in that room seemed bigger. What happened in that room seemed bigger. And that is true. That is true for me, who has this big life in a television show. And I'm telling you, for everybody here, extending yourself beyond your world, your kids, your family, your stuff, and reaching out to somebody who is not like you, somebody who is like you, who is in need. If you are feeling depressed, or you are feeling down, or you're feeling like things aren't going the way you want them to go in your life, the way you turn that around is to reach outside of yourself to somebody else. Reach outside of yourself to somebody else. It will change you. It will change you. I don't make resolutions anymore. I have a word. So at my dinner table, we all go around the table and we say, what's your word for this year? Okay. And my word is purpose. My word for this year is purpose, because when I look back on you know how you can't even figure out what you did in a year because your life's so full? Yes. So now I just go back and I look through my phone. So I was doing that on New Year's Eve, looking through the phone at all the pictures, all the stuff you've done. And I did a lot of things, but I didn't do a lot of things on purpose, with intentional purpose. So my thing this year is don't do anything unless you have an intention and a purpose behind it. You wish yourself, they call her Auntie Gail and me Mamo. I said, you all wish to have a friend like Auntie Gail. You want to have a friend who wants the most, the best, and the highest for you. I have never seen a person like Gail. Okay. I've never. All right. Thank you. Yeah. You know, everybody, especially if you are on the rise in your career and you have had certain friends, and they all act like they're happy for you, but not everybody's happy for you. And every now and then you can hear just a teensy bit of jealousy. You can hear it, you can sense it. I've never had a moment's jealousy from Gail in, you know, the 30-odd years of her friendship, except for the one time I was on stage dancing with Tina Turner. That's the only time I ever heard Gail goes, I wish that was me. In all of the years of doing the Oprah show, there were many days that I sat in my chair across from 1 or 2 or 5 or 6 or 7 people, and I would be so frustrated because I just wanted to shake people sometimes and say, why didn't you pay attention to your life? I said on the show, probably the producers tell me that they counted 33 times, but I know I thought it at least 1,000 times. I would say listening to your life as it whispers to you first, so that it does not have to knock you upside the head with a brick or come crashing down on you as a brick wall, is one of the greatest principles of life, because there are many things that happen in life that are beyond our control. Natural disasters, death, unexplained events. But there are also many, many, many things in life which we can control and become out of control because you're just not paying attention. You are sleepwalking through your life. And I have seen this so many times on the show. I wanted to take the guests and go, would you just pay attention? So this is what I've learned and how I've explained it to myself. Life whispers to you all the time. Your life is speaking to you all around, from the time you wake up in the morning and every single experience that's coming into your personal space into your physical space. All of those experiences are speaking to you. They're telling you something about your life and about your circumstances. It whispers, and if you don't get the whisper gets louder. If you don't get the whisper, when it gets louder, it gets, I call it like a little pebble, like a little thump upside your head. When I was a kid, if I was doing something my grandmother didn't like, she'd just turn around and thump me. She wouldn't even look at me. She'd just give me a thump, and I'd know that's my cue to stop it, or we're gonna get worse. The whisper is the message. The pebble or the thump upside the head, usually it's gone into a problem. You don't pay attention to the problem becomes a brick upside your head. The brick upside your head is a crisis. You don't pay attention to the brick upside your head. The crisis turns into a disaster, and the whole house brick wall comes falling down.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? The science says that when you just watch a video, you get motivated, you get inspired, you have a 35% chance of following through on your goals. 35%? That's not enough. That's not enough just to get motivated. Believe Nation, we're here, you're here. Today matters. You're an action taker. When you commit to a plan of action of when and how you're going to follow through, when you write it down, you have a 91% chance of following through. And when you commit publicly to somebody else, it jumps to 95% chance. From 30-something% to 95% chance of you following through. Believe Nation, we need to make this happen. So question of the day, your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action specific for the next week. Put it down in the comments below, and I'm going to show on screen sometime next week to celebrate you.
When did you realize in Chicago or Baltimore that you actually had a skill as an interviewer that was really better than anybody else's? And where do you think that skill came from?
I never thought it was better than anybody else's. What I do think I have that is really uniquely my own is my ability to connect to the audience. Because my skill comes not from my interviewing ability, my skill comes from my listening ability, and my skill comes from me knowing fundamentally inside myself that I am no different than the audience. So what gave me the power in the seat and the power with the microphone was I always saw myself as the surrogate for the audience. So I would ask people questions that I would not normally ask. I mean, I asked some really embarrassing question once, not because I wanted to know the answer, but because I thought the audience did. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to ask what the audience wants the next time. And when I get in that situation, I put myself in a bad situation. I asked Sally Field when she was dating Burt Reynolds. Remember this, Gail? I asked Sally Field, did Burt sleep with his toupee on?
What was the answer, or the question?
And I would never do that today. I wouldn't do it. Because I was doing it because I was getting pushed by the producers like, people want to know, people want to know. So I was thinking I was doing it on behalf of the audience. She shut down, and I could see that it embarrassed her, and I never got another thing from her. So I thought, okay, that was wrong. I learned from that.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.